We are at the coast.
I think it's going around. A lot of people, Carson and little Charlie, as you saw last week, they were in a tent and they're still out and about. So they're not going to make it today either.
I was impressed that they made it last week.
I know, I was too. And I haven't heard anything from Jan saying that she wasn't coming. So she might be joining us late, Jan and Joe and Jasper. But
Okay.
but you know, even if it's just us, we can still do it. Let's see, Calvin, is that Calvin over there?
Oh, this one is Max. Max
Oh,
is my
okay.
13-year-old.
Oh, okay. I just saw a little head bob in and out. Oh, hey, how's it going? Good to meet you. So we'll give maybe just a couple more minutes before we start, just in case Jan does come in. But how's it been going this week with Misty?
Well, she likes the beach a whole lot.
Oh gosh, I bet. Yeah. It's probably hard to get some training in while you're having so much fun. So yeah, this is definitely the hot time for everyone going out of town. So
Yeah.
yeah, she's a lab. Yeah, she loves the beach. My lab loved the beach too. Yeah, my lab. Strangely enough, wasn't a huge. She didn't go nuts for swimming, but she did swim and she would swim, but she loved the beach, just running along.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does Misty? What beach are you at? Did you say you're at the coast?
We're at Neskowin,
Yeah.
which is kind of between Pacific City and Lincoln City.
Nice. That
Yeah,
sounds wonderful.
it's quieter than both of those places, which is nice. Yeah.
Is it chilly there? It's a little chilly here.
It's definitely not hot.
Yeah, I know. I feel like if that's all the summer we got, I'm really going to be pissed. I'm not ready for fall. Yeah, we only got like 2 or 3 weeks of warm weather. So, but yeah, well, maybe the sun will come out today for you. Yeah. Has she gotten in the water at all?
Yeah, she loves to go in the water. She has only actually swum once, which was kind of by accident. She was just following a bigger dog into the water, and then she got in over her head, and she was like, oh, all of a sudden paddling, and then all of a sudden coming back.
Oh, she's like, not sure about this yet, but
yeah, but that's okay.
Yeah, cool.
We just want her to have fun, and
yeah,
exactly. I think that she will enjoy that eventually.
Oh, she will. Yeah, I mean, that was probably like confusion, like what?
Where did the
Maybe
ground
not.
go?
Yeah, exactly. Why are my feet not touching? Yeah, so let's just go ahead and get started. Just wanted to touch on. I don't
want her to join me. There's a bone over there.
Oh yeah, and if you've got a long-term chew for her, so she can be chewing on it, and
floor too, Max.
And don't forget to
in front of the couch. There you go. All right.
And is she settling down? And is it possible to move your camera down so that I can also see her?
Oh, she got her little chew and she took it away.
Oh.
Come here. She doesn't do that with all of them, but this one seems really special to her.
And you know, as I said before, taking it and moving away can sometimes be an indication of some just very mild resource guarding. So just be aware of that, and just be sure that, again, when you take the thing, make sure you do a trade with her, because you want to build up trust so that she knows when she sees you coming towards her, when she has one, that that you're not just out to take her thing. And if you trade her for it, and the reason she probably did that is because that to her is particularly a high value. She must really like that one. So
yes, I think she does.
Sometimes you don't really see any of that with certain calibers of chews or bones or whatever. They're like, I like this, but I don't like it that much. but then you give them something that they really, really like, and then you might start seeing some of that. And that could be just a mild version of what could be coming. So just be sure to give her a trade. Make sure she wants the trade. She goes for the treats. Take it from her, just to go over it again. Take it from her. When she's done with the treats, give it back to her. And try to make that be the majority of times that you touch her treat. Then there's always going to be the one where it's like, okay, now I need to take it away. Oh, Joe and Jan are here. Great.
Oh, good.
There's going to be the time you need to take it away, permanently for that time. But that will be the exception, not the rule. Because you want to be, hey, how's it going? I'm glad you joined us.
Sorry, we're late.
Hey, oh, no worries. We were just, I'll let you guys get settled in. I'm just going to finish something I was saying to Allison. So yeah, we need to really, really put the time and effort into that now so that it doesn't start presenting itself in a less mild form later. So just be aware of that grabbing it and moving to another room is definitely an indication that she's putting a lot of value in that. So we just want to work on prevention because that takes such a little amount of effort right now, as opposed to trying to undo it later, something that's become entrenched. Hi, Jan. So,
Hi.
Joe there with you today?
Yeah, Joe and
Joe?
Jasper.
Nice. Cool. Hey, Joe, how's it going? You guys having a good week?
Yeah.
Good, good. I was just talking a little bit more about the resource guarding thing and how to just to put a lot of effort into prevention right now. I talked about that last week, but it's something that definitely deserves more attention to it, because now is when we put a little bit of time in for prevention, as opposed to a little bit of time for prevention for lots of results, as opposed to later a lot of time into trying to undo it when it's entrenched. And sometimes it won't actually, you aren't always successful. So I was just reminding Allison, when your dog has a chew or a bone or anything, a Kong, to always trade them for it. Put some treats down next to them. Make sure they go for the treats. If they don't want the treats, it's not a trade. It's not an even trade. Make sure they want the treats, and when they go and start eating the treats, take the chew away, and when they're done with the treats, give it back to them.
My question, and I know you know, and I look at your dog behind you, and I think you really know, is Jasper, he doesn't have an issue with us and his treats. He loves to bark at our other dog when she has a treat. Even if he has the same treat, he kind of, I don't know if you call it, it's like jealousy guarding, not resource guarding.
He could be, it's probably a mixture of stuff. He's barking, yes, and he's saying, yeah, I want that, I want that treat. Could be barking for her attention, but most likely he's just doing demand barking, that he's saying, I want that treat. And I think probably the best case scenario form of action for that would be, might consider separating them when they're having their treats, because if he's practicing that, what we practice we get good at. So we might want to manage that so that he's not going to make that into a habit. So if he doesn't see her and he's not barking at her, then he's not going to start entrenching that behavior. Yeah, because if you give him another treat to stop him, then essentially you've just rewarded his demand barking.
And what I usually do is I treat them like my parents used to treat me and my brother. I'm like, okay, nobody's going to play with anything now. So I just make sure nobody has a toy at that moment and distract them. I go outside and play,
that's a good idea too. Just make sure that your other dog, just be careful that your other dog doesn't start thinking, start getting the idea, okay, every time Jasper's barking at me for my treat, then I'm going to lose my treat. Just kind of making that association with Jasper. And I probably won't be a problem. Just kind of keep it in the back of your mind that your other dog might start developing some bad feelings about that. Yeah. So just something to think about. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, so let's move on. I just wanted to talk a little bit more about what we call spook proofing. And I mentioned that a little bit last week, but just to reiterate, make sure that you're doing some positive pairings, getting your food ready and ready to pair it with odd motions. One thing that you should work on, a lot of times when people come up to greet your puppy, and by the way, you can say no if you want to. You don't always have to say yes when someone says, can I greet your puppy? If you don't think your puppy's in a greeting mood, you do have lab mixes, so they're probably always going to want to greet. But when you're working on training and stuff, and if you think in your mind, you're just getting a feeling and maybe the person might be a little overbearing or maybe not handle properly, do some things that might scare your puppy, you always have a right to just say, yeah, no, not right now, we're training. That's a good thing that we always tell people.
Yeah.
But something you should work on, excuse me, before you start having people or come over or out in the world, people like to loom over your puppy. And that is something that dogs are uncomfortable with. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Basically, Lolly, come here, come here, come here, baby. So they go in to pet your puppy, and they go over the top, and she definitely is not comfortable with that. And you can see she's moving backwards. It's because dogs don't like that. I'm sorry, baby. I was just doing an example. I'll give you a treat. Dogs don't like to be loomed over. So I would work on doing some positive pairings with food on looming. So you just kind of do this a little bit with your puppy, feed them, do it, feed them, to prepare them for when there's situations where someone just moves in and does that and you don't really have any control over it. Dogs prefer to be handled more from the side or from underneath. They do not like to be, most dogs, there's always exceptions, they don't like to be patted on the head. It's not something that they like. They tolerate it because, it could be they're getting attention. It's like, okay, well, I'll tolerate this because I'm getting love and attention from my person. And there are some dogs that actually, could like it. None of my dogs that I've ever had seem to like it. So it's just something to be aware of. You might do a little bit of that, pairing it with food, even though they're obviously not liking it. I wouldn't do too much of that, but just try to get them ideas. Sometimes you don't have control over that. So if your dog is pulling back very adversely, like don't do that, then don't push it. I'd work on doing hats, if you've got any kind of mask or anything to put on, and continually pairing it with food. We're trying to create good feelings. Work on doing funny motions, maybe rolling on the floor, jumping up and down, just generally overall just acting strange, so that when they encounter someone out in the world doing that, even from a distance, it can disturb a dog. So, go ahead.
Oh, Halloween costumes.
See, and that is a very good thing to socialize your dog too, because that is very scary to a lot of dogs. I mean, they are having to get used to us wearing masks all the time, but they can still see our eyes. And so that helps out a lot. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Still continue to do all handling. Continue with that, because again, even if your dog is tolerating it right now, they might change their mind at a certain point as they get older, going through different fear periods. Continue just the handling of their paws, their ears, their mouth, and always pairing it with food. And when the handling stops, the food stops, the bar closes. Yes, Joe, go ahead.
So he's been doing this thing that's been driving us crazy. When he gets hyper excited, maybe when he's tired, like a toddler, he starts getting ramped up.
Yeah.
And he starts nipping at us more and biting our ankles and lunging at us.
Oh, we totally have that problem too.
Yeah, that's like the witching hour. That's when they're going nuts. What I would do is have, what I try to do is see if you can get them calmed down, maybe just kind of end the play. Another thing you can do is have a rope toy or something to redirect them. Something that you can keep your hands far enough away from them so that they can't get to you. And if they're nipping at your clothes, they'll be grabbing at the rope instead. So I always tell people to try to have like a long rope toy available. Even like I encourage them, if they can, just take one on the walk with them, because sometimes dogs will get, puppies will get into that thing when you're walking and they'll start nipping at your clothes and your heels. But so yeah, I would definitely recommend having something to redirect him on.
Okay. Now,
And if it's a hard bite, Joe, I would recommend that you just leave the room and do the timeout that we've talked about.
Yeah.
If they're
So
just,
if it's a,
go ahead.
I have a question. If it's a hard bite and we're on a walk, I
Yes.
can't leave the room,
Okay.
right? Or like yesterday, we were at the beach. We can't leave the room, and honestly, can't even really let go of the leash. So, how do we change the tone in that situation?
Yeah, again, if you're out and about, I would try to always have something on you to try to redirect him. If you're not in a position to do a timeout,
Yeah.
I would try to get him involved. I would have a ball. I mean, I know you've got him on a leash, you can't roll it very far, but the idea is just to get him focused on something else. And you could just have the ball, bounce it, just roll it just a couple of feet away, just to get him interested in something else and not on you. Does that make sense? Just
yeah.
to try to draw him away from the biting and put his focus somewhere else. A rope toy is something I would recommend even more than a ball, because that's just a little bit less practical if you're out and about and on a leash. So you can just have a rope toy, and a lot of my students in the past will just tuck it into their back pocket and have it ready, and then just dangle it around, get them going on it, and attention drawn away from the biting.
Now we've had to. I've done all that. I'm actually pretty good about that with him, and redirecting him and having boys right by. He wants to go for my hands. He wants to bite my hands. That's
well, I would make sure the toy is long enough that he cannot go for your hands. Make sure the rope toy is long enough so that he can't get near your hands.
No, I know, but he'll
I'm sorry.
Couch playing with him, and he'll lunge up and try to bite
and jump up at your hands. Yeah.
Like he's like going for it.
He's going for it. That's when he's really revved up. Yeah.
So I'll put him in his cage, in his crate. If he gets like that, we give him a timeout. We put him in his crate.
So how long do you put him in his crate for?
5 minutes, just to change.
So let's talk about that. So what you're talking about is a timeout, but a timeout has to be really short.
Yeah.
10 to 30 seconds. 5 minutes is too long.
Oh.
So he's lost connection of what it is you're timing him out for.
Okay, good.
So he doesn't understand that now. So you're kind of just spinning your wheels with that. So he's in there, he's in the crate. He's like, when you let him out, he's like, he is not making that connection at all. That's how their brains work. They lose that connection. It just only lasts for a very short amount of time. And I also would recommend that you don't timing out in the crate, because we want to keep the crate kind of sacred for going in there, when wanting to go in there and relaxing. So I would time him out in a room that you've neutralized for a puppy, a bathroom where you know that everything is safe, the kitchen that's blocked off. If you don't have a space like that, then I would leave your puppy and take you into another room for 10 to 30 seconds.
Okay.
But 5 minutes is definitely, you're wasting your time, and you're not just wasting your time, you're just going to cause your puppy to be more frustrated because he's not really getting what's going on there.
Okay.
Okay. And Allison, so do you think that would work, redirecting like that?
I find that when she is in that state, she's very hard to redirect.
She is. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you know what I would do? Yeah, go ahead. And you're saying there's no way you can remove yourself from her.
Yeah, well, I mean, when it happens in our house, we've got the system down.
Right.
I'm not, I'd like to say it's working. I can't say. It's probably too soon to say.
Yeah. It should be working if at this point.
It makes us feel better.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Well, yeah, I can see right now. Yeah.
And I honestly, this is not the same problem, but I have a slightly different related problem, which is that she wants to chew on the furniture, and I redirect her, and it goes on and on and on in an endless cycle. My redirections are not, they don't last more than 30 seconds or a minute. And the only thing that I can do to redirect her for a substantial amount of time is to give her food.
Yeah.
Like, a bully stick or a Kong or whatever, which, that actually works. But there's only so many times a day, like maybe I should just not feed her meals and only do that.
Well, I guess if she's really going at the furniture, she might not be ready to be left out and about all the time. Have you thought about that? Like keeping her she needs access to that full amount of the house at this point? Because if she's out
she's only in one room. She's mostly in one room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a way to like separate her from the furniture?
We could move the furniture, but
I mean, like maybe an X pin, because it sounds like right now she's at a point where she's still not really able to be have access to furniture because she's chewing so much that she's just gonna like management, in other words, like more management, because it sounds like that she's unable to control that urge to chew on the furniture at this point. And if she has access to it, she's going to chew it. So usually what we recommend is that you maybe X-pin them in a way that they don't have access to the things that they might destroy at this point in time. Like create like an X-pin separate from an X-pin environment separate from the or enclosure. And then other ideas people do is they try to block them off in the kitchen, or they just try to block them off in an area that doesn't involve furniture. Because, right now it doesn't sound like just giving her it's good you're giving her stuff to chew. That's necessary because she's got to have a legal outlet for chew. But I think management is really the only way right now we're going to be able to keep her from going after the furniture. Because even if you were timing her out, you still can't be there all the time to be able to do that. And
well, we kind of are actually.
Okay.
Or we have her in her crate. But it exhausts us.
That's where management comes in, and it's recommended that you put them in an enclosure that they can't get into trouble. That's why we kind of like to not allow them full access to the house right now, because that is what they will do, is they'll get themselves into trouble. By chewing on the furniture. Just something to think about. Because management really is your best option right now, because it sounds like she's just going to go for the furniture if she's allowed to be around it. And you can't just be on top of that all the time. That's just impossible. The furniture is just her chew toy, basically.
You guys, two things I wanted to add. I was trying to, while you're talking, Jasper, of course, demonstrates biting. And I gave him the rope toy, and he was like, eh. And so I took the rope toy, and I didn't heavily smear it, but I gave the scent of peanut butter to it. He thinks it's much more interesting now.
Great.
We definitely use bitter no chew.
I've heard that can work, but sometimes I've heard it doesn't work. But when Allison comes back, we can just you can recommend. You can try the bitter apple.
She was biting me.
You can try the bitter apple. I've heard that it works and I've heard it doesn't work. So Jan was suggesting that. Yeah. I would see if you could get Misty off of you while she's chewing. And maybe that chew toy is not like going to be the thing that's going to get her going on her own. Because she really needs to do something that is interesting enough and valuable enough that she will just go and chew that without having to be engaged with you, like a marrow bone. Or,
what's that?
You know, like a marrow bone or a bully stick or something like that. Otherwise, she's going to start redirecting on you.
Can I say something about this?
Sure, yeah, and then we got to get going because we got a lot of material to cover here.
So we found this gives us temporary relief from him biting our ankles under the table.
Yeah.
We spray our feet and legs with it, and it lasts for like 5 minutes. But
yeah.
You could, I mean, it's a lot of maintenance, but you could go around and spray things with this every so often, and it would help a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you can try that, Allison. It might be just a temporary thing that might deter Misty. Well, you guys, we got to get going. We got a lot of material to cover. We're going to start with reviewing sit, and then we're going to introduce down.
Okay.
Let's wait till Allison's back. But yeah, Joe, just a reminder, those timeouts, 10 to 30 seconds, no longer, so they can keep that connection. Okay, so we're going to do a little review on sit. Lolly. So going to start with the food in our hand to get them warmed up. The lure. Going to do a little demo. Whoops. Food. Good girl. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take the food out of my hand. Let's get over here, baby. Nice job. And I'm going to treat from the other hand. Let's do that again. Good girl. Treat from the other hand. No food in my hand, but I'm making. Whoops, I got to get back here. Speaker view. For some reason, it's not showing me, and I'm doing the talking. Hold on a second.
We'll try you.
Can you guys hear?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me? That's weird. It's not, when I go to speaker view, it's not actually showing me. I'll try this again. Huh. Check.
Let me show you.
Okay, I'm just going to go to gallery view.
Let me show you how to do it.
Okay, so I'm going to get her in position, and I've got the food out of my hand now. Molly. Good girl. And then I'm treating from the other hand. So one more time.
It's not even.
Treat from the other hand. So start with, just a reminder, you start with the lure, food in your hand, angle it back. When their bottom hits the ground, mark and treat from the other hand. Do that a few times. When they're successful, take the food out of your hand, same motion, and mark and treat from the other hand. So so that's just review of sit. And now I'm going to move on to down.
Down.
Second. So same process. So I'm going to start with food in my hand. I'm going to place the food at her nose, and then I'm going to bring it down to the floor, mark, and then release the treat. Good girl. Good girl. I'm going to release her. Do it one more time. Food at the nose, down between her legs, then pull out just a little, mark, and then release the treat. And then same process. Now I'm taking the food out of my hand. I'm going to make it look like I have a treat. Down between her legs. Mark and treat from the other hand. Good girl. Thank you, Lolly. So let's do, let's go around and do a few reps of sit and down. I want to start with Allison, if you guys want to give it a whirl.
Yeah.
So it's just, very nice. Very good. So she's got just, she's at the hand signal now. Nice.
Jasper.
I lost Misty. There it is. Okay, it looked like everything was going well there. So great. So you've got the food out of your hand on both sit and down. That's excellent. Good
Yeah,
work.
she's got this down. She's just not got the biting.
Gotcha. So I'm going to think a little more on some other ways to handle that.
Okay.
But yeah, I really think getting her away from the furniture, but you're talking about on you. Yeah, gotcha. Okay, Joe, want to show us?
Well, we're getting closer, but he's funny. His legs are already so short that
The down can be a little more difficult with the dogs that have short legs.
and then he'll kind of crouch all the way down. He'll kind of.
He's not going all the way down.
All right, hold on. Here, Jan's gonna.
Okay, now pull it out a little bit once you get it down. Just a little bit. He's heading that way.
That's because he's so long.
He's almost got it.
Good boy.
Go ahead, Mark, and treat that because he's giving it a good effort. Yeah. I'm going to show you a trick you can do with Jasper.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, honey.
Try the speaker view again. Nope, still not working. It's really weird.
The basset hound leg.
So this is a little trick we use with dogs that are having a hard time going all the way down into the down position. So
Yes.
let me get back here. So what you do is you sit down with your leg up, have this leg like this.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to use Lolly right now, but you lure them under your leg.
Oh.
And it forces them to actually go all the way to the floor. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
Outside
Lolly,
of
come up here. Lolly.
From the outside.
So you get your leg just slightly cocked and then lure them underneath your leg. And as they start to go under your leg, they're actually going to be forced to go closer to the ground. And then you mark and treat that until you get it more and more like what you want it to look like.
Okay.
That's easier to demo in real life. So
Where's this one? Come on.
there you go.
Good dog. Good dog.
And as he starts slowly but surely, he's going to start getting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. So just work on that angle. And eventually he'll start, the more and more go into the position, and then you can get rid of the leg aspect of it. All right, you guys,
legs.
what's that?
He's got such tiny little fat
He
sausage.
really does. So yeah, and down is a vulnerable position. So your dog might not always want to go into a down in certain specific situations. It could be the floor is cold also. The ground is cold. So just be aware that down might not always be something your dog's going to want to offer in certain environments, and just respect that. If your dog pops back up immediately after they go into a down, work on rapid fire feeding while they're in that down position, and then release them. Give them a release out of it before they release themselves. We want to teach them that down is a position and not like an action. You get the dogs that go, down, I'm back up, down, I did it. Go ahead, Jan.
What do you mean by how I release him?
Oh, and sorry, I should explain that better. So if he goes into, you get him into the down and then he wants to pop right back up. What I'd like you to do is while he's in the down, quickly feed him in that position and then toss a treat off to get him to go for it. And you can start adding a release cue to that. Free, okay, whatever you want to say the release cue and then toss the treat.
Boy.
You want to release him from the down before he gets up and walks away, because we're trying to create some duration on the down.
He's such a glutton. He's now done down like 3 times in a row. He's like, yeah, I got it.
He's down. So he is actually doing the full all the way down now.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta just get him in that position. And another thing, if you're having trouble, Jan and Joe, getting him into downs, you know, on other occasions, work on rewarding him when he's in a down. If you see him do it on his own, just capture that, we call it, and reward him. And that might make him a little more apt to go into a down in the future.
Okay.
And so, yes, still no verbal. We're going to add that next week.
The sign is, this is down.
Yes. So we start with the lure, and then the lure starts slowly turning into the hand signal. That's the cool thing about the lure, is it just morphs into the hand signal. So we're going to move on to stay. The thing about stay, what happens a lot of times is people try to go too fast with the stay and everything falls apart. They want to test their dog rather than train their dog. In other words, they put them in a stay and then they keep moving backwards or building duration until their dog breaks the stay. And that's not training. That's not going to really get you anywhere. We have to actually make them successful. So you have to make it very, very easy and build in difficulty very slowly so that they practice success. So they need to be able to actually do the stay if you're going to actually build the stay. So it does no good to put them in a stay and make it too hard and for them to break it, because you're wasting your time. There's really no point in even doing it. And it's frustrating to the dog because they're going to continually fail. So we make it as easy as possible. We start really with the tiny bit of duration or a tiny bit of distance. Actually, in the beginning, we won't really add any distance. How do we know when to make it harder? There's something called a rule of 5. If they get 5 out of 5, it's time to make it harder. If they're only getting 3 or 4 out of 5, you need to stick where you are and keep working on that criteria. Hi, little Jasper.
Down.
3 out of 4, stick.
Down.
And 1 or 2, it's too hard and you need to make it easier for them. So basically, if they get 5 out of 5, that's when you should move on. So it's just a good little rule of thumb. You don't always have to follow that, but it kind of always will bring you back to when are they capable of doing something harder and increasing the distance or increasing the duration. There's also something called the 3 Ds: distance, duration, and distraction. And we never want to increase more than one of those at a time. So if you put them in a stay and you are at like 3 steps backwards and you do your 3 steps, don't also decide to add 5 seconds. If you've gone from 1 step to 3 steps, don't also now add 5 seconds to it. It's too much. If you've gone from 1 step to 3 steps, that should be the end of making it harder. That should be as hard as it gets at that moment in time. Obviously, when you add distance, you're adding duration. It's just built in. We also want to make the stay have a beginning and an ending. So kind of like what I was saying with the down, to build in a release cue, we want to put them in a stay. And when the stay is over, we want to release them before they release themselves. And so what I recommend is tossing a treat off to the side and start thinking about a release cue. Free, off, free, okay. I use okay. So I say the release cue, then I toss the treat. They go get the treat, and then we reset for another stay. So so I'm going to demo the stay first without Lolly, and then I'm going to use her. So basically, I'm going to step back a little bit. You have your stay hand, and then you'll have your treat hand. You're going to say stay. This one we actually do use the verbal at the very beginning. Stay, place your hand out, pull your hand back, count off your seconds, or if you're doing paces back, then mark, treat, then release, give them the release cue. And if right now you just want to toss the treat and don't worry about a release cue, if it's too much to think about, toss the treat off and then reset the dog. If we're doing distance and you're taking steps away from your dog, I recommend that you come back to your dog. We call it bungeeing back, then mark and treat. And the reason why we like to do that is when you call your dog, when your dog is used to being called out of the stay, it builds more of an arousal because they're like waiting for you to call them out of the stay. And it helps to keep a more calm demeanor if they know they're not going to get rewarded until you come back to them and then deliver the treat. So I'll do a quick little demo with Lolly.
Yes.
Treats. See me? Stay. Good girl. Okay.
So what do you do?
Toss her off.
Okay.
So I'm just doing like 3 seconds of stillness right now, right in front of her. Stay. Okay. Then I'm going to toss her and end the stay. So what I recommend today is just doing like 3 to 5 seconds of stillness standing right in front of them. So who wants to go first? I'm just going to do a little coaching here.
Jan's already gone.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes.
So right now, Jan, I would recommend that we just stand right in front. We just want to get a little stillness, like 3 to 5 seconds. Well, I mean, if you want to do some distance, have at it. If you think he can handle a little bit, just.
We've already been doing this a little bit. My question is, how do I reward him when I'm far away from him? I have to come back?
Okay,
or?
that's what I was just saying. Always return to your dog before you mark and reward.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at least during these younger times when you're working on getting a good foundation. Later on, when your dog has a rock solid stay, PhD level stay, then it would be okay to call them out of a stay and reward them.
Okay.
But that's not going to be till much later when your dog is already solid on their stay and you're just building on, you know, on a solid stay.
Okay. Jasper.
Sit. Yes. Okay, stay.
That's good.
And now toss a treat to get him out of the stay. And then reset him for another.
Okay.
I'm just going to watch you again, Jan.
Jasper, come here. Come on, Jasper. So, Jasper.
And you can do a sit or a down, whichever you think your dog is more comfortable. It doesn't matter. It only matters that they don't move from the spot.
Stay. And Jasper.
Yes. Stay.
Tim, the one thing
I lost you, Jan.
I'm here, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, there you are.
One thing with him when I'm doing it is he has like a tiny, tiny attention span, right? So sometimes when I'm starting to get him to stay, he starts to wander, you know, and his head moves different ways. And I have to say his name. I just say, Justin.
Okay.
And then he first.
If he's wandering, if he's not moving out of the spot,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if he's looking around, he can do whatever he wants. The whole idea behind a stay is that they don't move from the spot. Now, if he's moving from the spot, you've made it too hard for him.
That's right.
And that is exactly right. He has a tiny little attention span. That's why we need to make it really easy at first.
Stay.
And we want to pull our hand back, Jan, after we give it. We don't want to try to will them in place with our hands.
Okay.
Okay, now I go ahead and return back to him, mark and reward, and then release him.
There you go.
Yeah, excellent. So Allison, I'm going to take a look and see what's going over there. Sorry, I was getting.
Okay, Misty, come. Now, sit. Yes.
Sit.
Stay.
That's right. Sit. Down.
Yes.
Very nice.
Okay.
Very good. That looked great. That looked great. It looked almost like you even turned your back a little bit to her. Was that?
I did.
That's really difficult for a dog. So I'm impressed with that.
Yeah, somebody lent us a 15-foot leash, and we kind of set it in the yard, and we've been practicing, and she can get I can get pretty far away.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. That's great. Yeah, and just be sure, like you did, release her from the stay before she releases herself, and that's gonna, because once they start releasing themselves, and then things start to break down. But that's looking really good. It sounds like you're ready. You're obviously ready to build. You're building more and more distance. Just be sure to build it slowly, and make sure she's getting a number of successes, 5. Before you actually make it harder, so you can make it more extremely solid, so that she so that you can keep progressing as it looks like that you're doing. So that's great. That's looking really good. Yeah, those long lines are fantastic. I highly recommend them. The 15-foot lead.
We had them just we had it just as a loaner, but I think we're going to get one of our own because it does seem really useful.
Yes, I would get a cotton one. I had a friend, another trainer, that had a nylon one, and her dog went zooming after a squirrel, and it cut her leg really badly. The nylon ones can. So I would recommend a cotton one. If you know how if they get wind around you, or and then some bolt. So yeah.
Oh yeah, it's totally a mess. Right now she's, I think, overstimulated by the long mass of cordage, and we have to kind of wait until she adjusts to that excitement before we can do any kind of training. But,
yeah, because she feels like she's off leash, basically.
Well, and she's got this great toy.
Oh yeah, there's that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is the toys. The low bar for what a toy is. It's a great thing. Sometimes it can be not such a great thing. So again, just be sure and release them before they release themselves. Build difficulty slowly. And while you're doing it, be sure not to dangle your hands with food, because they'll see that and they'll focus on it and they'll try to come at it, and they'll break their stay. Okay, we're going to move on. Oops, what's happening here? We are going to move on to the second step, the leave it, which is an open hand. And I'm actually going to grab one of my other dogs for the demo, but first I'll do a little demo without a dog. So basically, the next step for leave it, we've been doing a closed hand. Closed fist is where we're at right now. And we're saying the word leave it, and we're presenting our hand, and we're waiting for the puppy to break contact with our hand. And then we're marking rewarding. Now what we're going to do is we're going to try actually opening our hand and presenting it to our dog. But we want to make them successful, so we don't want to put it like right up in their nose. We want to put it far enough. I'm going to demo with my dog too, but we want to make sure we put it far enough away from them, and even a little up if you need to make them successful, because now our hand is open. The difference between another difference between the first step is we are marking when they disengage from our hand, so they can still go to the hand, activity around the hand. The second step, we do not want them to go for the treat at all. We're trying to make it look more and more like real life, but we're doing it slowly. So we will say, leave it, letting them know what the game is, present our open hand, and when they don't go for it, we will mark and reward from the other hand and then take our hand back. If they do go for it, you can try one more time. And if they go for it a second time, you need to graduate back down to your closed hand. Because we're not ready for the open hand yet. So I'm going to demonstrate with my little Chihuahua. I'll be right back. I'm going to grab him. He's going to be very happy. Lovey, come on.
I'll try it too.
Lovey, we're going to play a game.
Yeah, I'm gonna reset him.
Okay.
Leave it.
How much?
Good dog.
Yes.
I'll be right back. He has to pee. Sorry about that.
Alice,
Yes.
really good. Yours did good.
Sit.
Oh, good. I actually can't see you because my internet is so crummy up here, but
Well, I can see he actually did it first try, didn't he?
yeah, I was actually surprised because we do a different game, which is the closed fist with the treat in it to calm her down.
Right.
I don't have a word for that, but I spend a lot of time doing that to calm her down because she needs that a lot.
Right.
And then, so in order to, she has to actually recognize leave it.
Disorder, so he has to pee a lot. Okay.
Leave it.
So I'm going to warm him up with closed hand.
Good job.
You see him? Let's go back here. Okay.
Yeah.
Leave it. As soon as he disengages, give him the treat. Whoops. Leave it. Nice job. Good. Reach over here. Jump.
Good dog.
And now I'm going to open my hand. Leave it. So he went for it. So I'm going to try it again. Leave it. That time he did not go for my hand. He's getting so excited he's having an asthma attack. Baby, you're okay.
Poor baby.
Okay. You're okay. It's okay.
It's good to see a lively little dog
Good.
doing it.
Okay, one more time. You ready? Leave it. Whoops, he went for it again. So let's try. Leave it. Okay. Okay.
How do you use that on your husband?
Closed hand. Leave it. Nice. So I just go back down to the closed hand. Now I'm going to try the open hand again. Leave it. Yeah, he's low. He's so leaving it. Leave it. Woo! Nice job. He's turning his head away. Like, I'm so leaving it. Good job, Jay. Good job. Okay, here, you can have that. Nice job. Okay. So let's start with Allison. Allison and Misty. See what we got.
Leave it.
Oh, perfect. If she doesn't go for it at all, even better, because that's the second step. So just immediately when you present your hand and she just sits there and looks at it, mark and treat that immediately.
Misty, leave it. Yes.
Beautiful. So you can, I try it again with your hand in about the same position. And then if she's successful, then I would try moving it down and maybe a little out as it's getting closer to her nose.
Okay.
I said reset.
Okay.
Misty, leave it. Leave it.
So what I would do is I would pull your hand a little further away from her. It was just a little too tempting. So I put it further out.
Leave it. Yeah.
So try to get in the habit of not moving it away from her as she's going towards it. Just if she goes for it at all, then it's done. So you see what I mean? Like instead of pulling it from her.
I see. Leave it.
Beautiful. Mark can click that. So try to be really fast and reward her immediately before she has a chance to go. And then pull your hand away. So that was perfect.
Okay. Misty, leave it.
Mark and Tree. Yep, excellent. And then pull your hand away. So we don't want to give her too much opportunity to fail because she's obviously succeeding and we want to jump on that. So that looks great. So I keep doing that. I'm going to put him away. He's getting a little upset, a little worked up with his asthma. Come here, Sue. You're okay. It's okay.
Oh my God.
Leave it. I have nothing in my hand. Leave it.
Mark and give.
Jasper, yes.
She's about to talk to you in a second.
Okay, let's have a look and see how's it going with little Jasper.
All right, Jan's going to demonstrate.
Okay, sounds good.
He's food obsessed. He's so happy. Okay, Jasper. Leave it. Leave it. Good dog. Yes.
Nice. Try to say leave it before you present your hand. And the reason for that is right now we're trying to give them a heads up. Hey, this is what we're going to do. So it kind of helps them prepare a little bit as you move forward.
He does.
Good. He's not going for it at all. I'm impressed.
Leave it. Well, you know, addicts are very dedicated to things. So he's like, oh my gosh, I think she's going to give me some food if I do that.
That's labs are so good at this. They catch on really fast. So, so yeah, just
boy, I have to just
continue to make it as easy and yeah, not putting the food right up on his nose.
right.
And be sure and immediately, if he doesn't go for it, mark it like you're doing, and then pull it away. So don't just keep letting it hang out there because you're just going to give him more temptation to fail. So it has to be,
yes.
So it needs to be kind of more like in front of him as opposed to above him. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's kind of okay. Leave it.
Because that's how it's going to be in real life.
Yes.
Very good.
As soon as he behaves himself, he turns and looks at my other hand like, I'm going to get a kibble now.
That is wonderful. That's what we want to see. That's what we want to see. So Jan, the next steps for you guys are going to make it a little harder for him, and you're going to lower your hand more and more, and you're going to start lowering it closer to the floor because that's where we're headed. So, and again, if he starts going for it at any point, you need to make it easier for him by pulling it further away from him. Okay. And if he's still going for it, then go back to the closed hand. Because again, we want them to practice success, not failure. So in order for us to, I know I repeat myself a lot on that, but it's something that we have to keep in mind, that we have to make them succeed every time we do it. If they fail once, that's okay, or even twice. That's information that we need to make it easier for them. So that's looking great, you guys. And with Allison, with you and Misty, what I would do, your next steps, you're definitely ready for it, is to start slowly moving your hand, your criteria down towards the floor. Because the next step next week is we're actually going to have the food in our hand, but we're going to lay our hand on the floor. So that's the direction that we're heading. The thing about it, when there's food on the floor, it belongs to them because that's where they live. So that's when it gets more and more challenging when we start going, and then the step after that will be taking the food out of our hand and laying it on the floor. And that is even more of a leap for them. And so that's a huge leap, but we prepare them for it by keeping the food in our hand and lowering our hand to the floor. It's kind of like a bridge to their world. But yeah, when the food's on the floor, all bets are off. It belongs to them. I mean, that's just the law.
Might be.
The law of dog.
The law of the dog. So we have to prepare them for that. And so that's why we do it really slowly. And just a reminder, when you're out in the world, try to remember not using this leave it cue, because we're not ready for that yet, and they're not going to be successful, and then you're going to practice failure. We're coming to the end, but if you guys got a couple more minutes, I wanted to just touch on mat targeting, but if you need to leave, I totally understand. Do you got like 5 more minutes? Okay, so we're going to work on mat targeting really quick.
Next.
We haven't done this at all, right? This is the intro. Yeah, I believe. Okay. So for this one, I'm going to use my other Chihuahua. 1 second.
Do you want to do the mat targeting? I'll have some tea.
She's right there. I poured some hot water in it.
Is there sugar?
No. Oh yeah. Well, it's good to like know what not to do too, you know? Like
Okay, this is little Abigail. She just had surgery. She no longer has any teeth, but she's a much happier camper because she had some abscesses.
sure.
Okay, the way we do mat targeting is basically what we're working towards is creating a situation where your dog wants to go to the mat and settle on it. So what we do, the way we start with this, is we let them choose when they want to go to the mat. We're not going to lure them onto the mat. We're not going to cue them onto the mat. We are letting them choose. And in the choice is the learning. And so right now I'm going to lay this on the floor, and we're just going to do, this is called shaping. We're going to reward tiny approximations of our final goal. And our final goal is our dog going to the mat and relaxing because they want to and they're comfortable there and they choose to.
Yeah, we did that
But
already.
right now I'm going to reward any activity around the mat. She's really good at this, so she's probably going to put all 4 paws on there. But if your dog is just starting out, when he even touches the mat, we're going to mark and reward that. And slowly we're going to build the criteria to 2 paws on the mat or 4 paws, and eventually laying down, jackpotting, or sitting. So right now I'm going to lay this on the floor, and she's going to immediately go towards it.
What a cookie.
Good job. And I'm going to feed the mat. We're building value in the mat. Multiple treats. And then I'm going to reset her with, okay, toss her off. Again, the release cue like we talked about. And I'm going to get some more treats.
Go to your mat. Sit. Down.
As soon as she gets her whole body on, because that's where she's at. She's built up to whole body. I'm going to multiple treats. And then I'm going to okay, toss a treat off. Excellent girl. Okay, toss a treat. Okay, so that's the basic idea. I'm just going to put her back in my room. Come on, let's go.
Good dog. Get on your mat. Come on. Good dog. Get on your mat. Sit. Down.
Not supposed to say down.
No.
There he goes.
So do you guys have a mat or something that you can use?
You know what, Tammy?
Yeah.
Catching.
Oh, Kitrin. Sorry, call you.
Oh, no, I'm Tammy. You had it right. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
it
okay.
says Katrine because she's the owner and this is her account. Go ahead,
Tammy,
Joe.
Tammy, he it's funny. We pulled the mat out this morning.
Yeah.
He kind of knew what was going on, and he ran right to the mat and sat down on it.
That's great. Reward that profusely.
Yeah, and then we tried it again, and he went right to the mat and sat down waiting
That's
for treat.
fantastic. Keep rewarding that a lot. We're going to add a cue to that eventually. So keep working on that. How's it going? Well, that looks good, Misty. Look at you. So go ahead, Allison.
She's kind of tired, and Max threw the mat over here, and she just went right on it.
That's wonderful. That's what we want them to vacuum to the mat. So when she does that, I would reward her multiple lottery treats, and what I would do is feed the mat. Instead of putting it to their faces, we want to put it onto the mat. So we'll work on this a little more next week, but you guys are way already ahead of the game, it looks like. Your dogs are already wanting to go to the mat, which is huge. That's fantastic. We might be able to start already adding a cue and working on duration. Okay, you guys enjoyed it. Take care and have a great week.
Bye, Alice.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
He said reward when he's on.